Hello everyone, welcome to Basically Neda. I am Neda, and in this video I'm going to talk about the books I read in January to May of 2023. The books that I'm going to talk about in this video are the books that I read before booktube, and it covers from January to May 2023. I have separate videos for my June wrap-up and my July wrap-up. So feel free to go watch those. I will not be referring to those two because then this video would be very long. So let's just start. In January, I finished 2 books. The first book that I finished reading was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. This is a found family fantasy story in a magical world. The main character is an orc who decides that she no longer wants to be part of the world that she is in right now, and she wants to start a coffee shop. So she gives up her fighting life and goes into a business life, which she meets a whole lot of other different kind of majestic characters, and she becomes part of a community. The world is basically kind of like The Witcher, but it's not. There isn't that much magic in this story. It's more about the community and the found family and the main character's journey into starting her coffee shop and keeping that. Yeah, the plot of this book was going a little too slow for me. It's more of a character building and character focused book. It was fine, it was cute, and it was like enjoyable to read. I just wanted more of the plot, and I wanted more of the magic system, and just because there's so many different creatures, like magical creatures in it, you would think that there'd be a little bit more magic, but no, it's just a cozy little fantasy. And yeah, that's why I prefer more plot driven books than character driven books. The plot was too slow for me. That's why I decided to give it a 4-star. It wasn't because it was just it was bad or anything. It was fine. I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't something that I would go and it wasn't too captivating for me to read all the time. Yeah, so it was enjoyable. That's all I can say about it. The second book that I read in January was The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I started reading this book on an e-book from the Libby app, and then I found that it was really not interesting for me while I was just reading it on my phone. So I decided to get the audiobook from the Libby app instead, which actually made it a lot better. It made it feel like I was listening to a play. I was watching a play instead of just reading something that is it felt very dry when I was reading it as an ebook, but when it was an audiobook, it felt more alive for me. That's why it went very slow. It was just one of those books that wasn't as captivating as I thought it would be. So this is about a scientist, a British scientist who invents a time machine and goes into the future and the future that he goes into have two different kinds of people in it. There are peaceful people who he meets at first, and then he realizes there are warlike people who are hunting these peaceful people as, like, in a way, he at some point I think he called them cattle in a way, which was kind of odd. So yeah, I found this book a little bit mediocre for me. Like, I understand that it is a classic, and it was one of those things that inspired a lot of stories, and it is the pioneer of, I guess, science fiction. I mean, it was written in 1890 something. Let me see. 1895. It was written in published in 1895. So you have to, like, think about what you're reading at that and when it was published. I think at this time it just wouldn't, like, it didn't work for me. It was fine. I give it a 3-star out of 5. I just found it a little bit, like, not preserved very well. Like, I'm trying to say it very nicely, but it's not coming out. So it's just, there's a bit of misogyny in it, and it's written by a white privileged British author who is writing about a white British scientist. So take it as you will. It was fine. And yeah, that's basically it for me. I can't continue with that. I don't recommend everybody to read it. If you're interested, go ahead, but go into it knowing that it was written by a male at that time, and things were different then. So then in February, I finished 3 books, and I really was not in a good reading place with these books. I don't know, maybe these weren't very my type of books, I guess. So all of them were 2 stars to me. The first one I read was I Am Legend by Richard Mathis. It is about the world has been affected by this virus that makes everybody turn into vampires. I don't know if you guys have watched the movie with what's his name? Anyway, the movie was said that it was a zombie apocalypse, but this is, in the book, it is vampires instead of zombies. So we are reading his like, the main character is telling us the story. It's his point of view. We are seeing what he does day by day, his little mundane tasks to survive, and what really happens with him. He can't find anybody else. There's some point, there's like info dumping at some point, and it was very slow info dumping in a way that, like, okay, I understand you're supposed to explain how this happened, but you could have said it in a different way where he would have met somebody else who's alive instead of being a vampire. It was just not very captivating to me. It was just at some point he started just talking profanities. It was just, okay, you could have said the scene in a different way instead of him just saying the F word like 20 times. So yeah, that's what it was. So I gave it a 2-star. Yeah, it didn't work for me. And then the second book I read in February, it was Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I gave this one a 2 as well. This is not because I don't like any of it. It's just because it didn't work for me. Okay, don't come at me. I know this is one of those things that everybody likes on booktube, and it just didn't work for me. It is a fairy tale that follows 3 different female characters in like kind of like a Renaissance time, Elizabethan time kind of thing. And each character is in a different social class. Like you have one who's poor, and then there was one who's a daughter of a merchant, and then you have the high society princess girl. But I listened to the audiobook, and when it was transitioning, it just sounds like the same girl is talking. It was just all 3 of them felt the same. I don't know if that was on purpose or it was the way that was done to. I'm not sure what the point of that was. It just made me feel like I was reading one person instead of 3 different characters. It was very slow. There's very little plot happening. We're just talking about their perspective and what is happening to them at a time. The plot doesn't go very fast. It was just going slowly and slowly. And there's magic in it. If you like the fairy tale magic, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that didn't work for me. Sorry. The third one that I read in February was also another fairy tale. It's The Bear and the Nightingale. At this point, I realized that fairy tales do not work for me anymore. The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Ardern, or Arden. So this one is kind of in the same way as the other one. It just felt like a soap opera for me, like a Russian soap opera. I'm sorry. It just didn't work for me. I gave it a 2. I'm not gonna go into details. If you want to know more about it, just go on. I'm sure there are other people who reviewed it. I just couldn't explain. I don't know if I even remember much of it. I'm sorry. It was in February. It's August. So yeah. And then in March, I finished 2 books. The first book that I finished was A Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is about a teenage girl who becomes an assassin nun. And we learn about her journey from her journey to becoming an assassin nun, and the things that happened to her, and just not very fast-paced plots. I think that's my problem. I like fast-paced plots, and these are all character-based stories. So I also give this one a 2-star. I'm sorry, but it's, you read, you like some, you don't like some. It's everybody's opinion, right? So yeah, and then the second book that I read was A Wizard's Guide to Defense Baking by T. Kingfisher. This was very cute and like it was delightful to read. I decided to get the audiobook because just I was doing chores around the house, so I decided to pick this up while I was doing that, and it was so much fun reading this, listening to this, because it's just little. There's humor in it. There's magic, yeah, and yet there's politics, and there's just some sad things, but the humor takes away all the awkward, sad scenes, and it was very fun listening to it, very fun reading it. And then, so the story is about a 14-year-old girl, I think it's 14. Yeah, so it's about a girl who is able to magically maneuver dough. Like, she can shape the dough into different things, and she has a sourdough starter that is very helpful to her in different situations, specifically when she is stuck in somewhere, and the sourdough starter actually helps her. So at the beginning, we find that she wakes up to go and start her day as a baker in her aunt's bakery, and finds someone who is dead. So that's when everybody thinks that she is the one who's done it, and now she has to explain that she didn't do it, and they have to find the murderer. So this was, it was really fun. It was cute, and I gave it a 4-star. And then in April, I finished Scythe by Neil Schusterman. And Scythe is about the future, and humanity has found a way to live longer, and the population has grown too much, and there's people are living like hundreds and like longer than normal. So they have these people called Scythe, a group of people called Scythe, who go and randomly glean people to bring down the population growth to what it needs to be. And we are following 2 teenagers who are apprentices to Scythe, and we watch their journey as how they will become Scythe and what happens in that. There's some graphic places, like graphic scenes. They have to obviously kill as Scythes, so there's a certain scenes where you have like the glory and gritty of killing. So if you don't like those kind of things, this is not for you. But it was a good read. I gave it a 4-star, and it was entertaining. I actually wanted to pick it up whenever I could and read it. Yeah, that was good. And then in May, I finished The Killing Moon by N.K. Jemisin. This book focuses more on the political aspects of the story rather than the actual plot. The plot was very slow. It's not her usual writing. If you want to read this one, the characters were very different than her normal characters. It was just, I don't know how to describe it. they were off. Like, there wasn't much of their personality being shown. They were just, okay, I have a task, I have to do this task, and I have to get to it, kind of thing. It kind of reminded me a bit like Dune, the way that Dune was written. And yeah, it didn't do well for me. It was okay. I liked the story, but it was not her usual thing. So I just didn't like it in that particular part. Like, I understand what she was trying to get to, but it didn't work for me. I give it a 3-star rating. It's, I mean, it was a good time. I just didn't find the connection that I normally do with her writing. So yeah, those were the 9 books that I read from January to May. Some of those months got a little busy at work and family, so I didn't read that much. That's why it's like 9 books. And yeah, so let me know if you've read any of these books. If you have, did you like them? What did you think about them? And yeah, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it press the like button. And if you want to see more of my content, please subscribe and press the notification button. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.